If you didn't get a chance to go to ShmooCon, or if you went and you couldn't be in every track at the same time, which none of us could, you're in luck because the talks are recorded. They're up on YouTube. I was in day 2, track 2, belay it, about 6 hours and 14 minutes into it. And I somehow managed to get it 15 minutes of content into almost exactly 11 minutes. Actually, it was really about 30 minutes of content that I was worried I couldn't get into 15. So I talked really fast, and the point of the talk, Level Up, is that throughout your journey, if you are giving to the community and when you give to the community in the form of content or volunteering, mentoring, coaching, and so forth, that it will build your network and your skill base in ways that you otherwise could not have built it, not just through the relationships that are so incredibly valuable, but through your skills and knowledge. And I hope that it will inspire you to submit to a talk, to volunteer, and to give back, and that you will receive as much as you give within our fabulous community. Hope you enjoy.
You make a certain move and you particular behavior levels you up, gains your strength, gains your life. This is going to be that type of conversation. Real quick, it was maybe the first day of the year or right at the beginning of the year. Ray Redacted did a tweet and he listed a handful of people and he said, so-and-so never set out to fill in the iconic thing that they did, the accomplishments. One of them's in this room, maybe 2 of them are in this room. And coincidentally, and I did not know, obviously, when I wrote this talk that he was going to do that. 2 of the 3 people that I interviewed were on his list. So it's just, it kind of really brings back to the whole point is this is a community of giving. This is a community for teaching and learning, and we give our knowledge, and that's how we gain our strength. Trying to figure out if it's the space bar or the down button. All right, who am I? I'm Kirsten Renner, as was mentioned, known as Krenner, currently the Vice President of People Operations at Cytocor, and currently also on the ICS Village Board. I will be running for the first time ever this year, besides Charm Hiring Village and besides Las Vegas Higher Ground. So kind of the bottom line is, speaking of tweets, I have one I'm pretty sure is still pinned to my profile that says, you're going to have ideas and you're going to do things and, you know, credit will get stolen and misappropriated and that sort of thing. But the one thing no one can steal from you is your reputation, and your reputation is built on your behaviors and the way you treat others, and it's what is yours. It's the one thing nobody can take away from you. Giving to this community of teachers and learners, this community where there's never a lack of people wanting to teach and learn. Never once have I ever wanted to know something and learn something, and people didn't have time to teach me. They stopped what they were doing and were excited that I was excited about whatever it was. So also in those interviews, on the cover slide it says I interviewed Alyssa Miller, I interviewed Spanky, who's sitting right there, and Jason Street. And Jason did correct me and say, don't refer to us as rock stars. We're all the same, right? We all have contributions to make. And one of the most meaningful things about the content that I received from the people that I interviewed them because I see them giving, I see them standing up villages and keynote speaking and just constantly giving of themselves and their knowledge. They're doing that after they work. They're not getting paid for it. They're doing it after they take care of their families, after they take care of themselves, and yet it's so fulfilling, right? So there's something about the energy that you give. And that was me misquoting and taking liberties on something Spanky said. So a few quotes. Alyssa made it very clear when she was answering my questions, first of all, that you never do the giving to gain back. It's just a symptom of what we do, right? It's just a symptom of that behavior. Just always be authentically who you are. I double quoted Jason's because he's technically quoting Hemingway here, so I won't drain the slide. But the very best thing that Steve said was, or that Spanky said was, the time is now. You know, somebody asked me once, when do you start being a runner? Is it after you get on the treadmill or after you lift weights? It's literally after you sign up for the race. So now is the time, if you're wondering, for giving, for answering a call to papers. Every conference that you go to, there's a volunteer who might be tired. They might want a drink of water. They might want a bathroom break. There's always opportunities to give. So I'll have no idea how much time I have left. So this is supposed to be video game themed. Okay. I'm going to take you through the very beginning, and then you can use this as a template kind of for yourselves. And I hope that this shows that the actions that I did that weren't part of my job gave me knowledge and abilities and relationships that I otherwise wouldn't have gotten either at work or at school. So actually, getting the receptionist position started with giving. I just was a 19-year-old at the mall, and my landlord's brother needed someone to babysit the house, right? So it's just a coincidence that doing something for someone led to, hey, we have a receptionist job open for 2 weeks, it's temporary. And right away when I got in there, I kept noticing, it's like a part of who I am, things that needed to be done around me. I was a satellite office, they didn't have an HR rep, they didn't have anybody to help with open enrollments, and I thought, I can collect forms, I can read forms, I can do that. And next thing you know, it was a permanent job, and then it was an HR job, and then it was a govie, so for a while. Now, in that government position, one of the things I had to do was do intakes and processing for workers' compensation cases. And one of them was particularly tragic. And immediately I said, what can we do for this family? And I started putting together my first fundraiser. And if you have ever been to a car hacking village party in the last 10 years, I probably planned or co-planned that party. So little did I know, this was in the 90s, that I was gaining skills for my future, right? So what do you got to do? You have to get the word out. There was no Twitter back then. And you have to you need a facility, and you need entertainment, and you need food, and so on and so forth. Looks like I got to speed it up. It's a natural transition to go from HR to recruiting, and the very first thing I noticed, and this is important if I don't get to any of the other clouds, one of the first things I noticed was that nobody really knows how to write a resume, particularly, no offense, I love you guys, the active duty service members and transitioning service members need help. People on both sides of the interview table also need coaching. So immediately, every interaction that I had with a candidate or a manager, I was coaching and helping, and that leads me to meeting Kathleen. Yes, it's Kathleen. I saw a face in the room. Leslie was one of the earliest adapters of hiring villages. I don't even think we called it that at the time, but so was Kathleen, and it was just helping people, just taking the time to show people what they need to know, and that led to hiring villages and giving away about 20 weekends a year at B-Sides. She introduced me to Jack. I didn't know what B-Sides was. Boom, I ended up at my first DEF CON. If you want to know about the first DEF CON, I think it's on YouTube. At the welcome panel, I tell that crazy, funny, embarrassing story about what I did there. But even at the very first DEF CON, and Jason said this too, I realized this is a place where I will gain knowledge, and this is a place where I can give. The first thing I ever gave was some Red Bull to a CTF, right? But there's just always stuff to give, right? And then from there, helped stand up Car Hacking Village, ran that for 10 years. Lot of skills that you learned when you're standing up or assisting in the running of something like a village or like a conference. There's always something that needs to be done. There's a piece of paper that needs to be filled out. We violated some fire marshal code. The electricity didn't work. I tried to throw a party. There was no speakers. Somebody had to run and find some. Just, it's constant, right? And think of all the skills if we turn that into what I could put on my resume. Just the agility and the ability to solve problems and blah, blah, blah. So this truly did lead to me getting in my first management position, running low on time. So this actually did lead to me meeting the CEO of my next company, where I had a director position for a while, and this is when I started my first speaking engagements, coincidentally, right here in 2019. Thank you, ShmooCon, for all the opportunities. And then actually, those connections that I made led to someone sending me a text. In fact, the last 4 jobs I had started with a text message from somebody who I met at a conference who was introducing me to someone else. And that's how I got the job I have now. So you'll find me at the ICS Village and like I mentioned, those hiring villages. So in short, closing note, always be your true, authentic self. There is no right or wrong time for starting. Start now. Start with walking around, seeing who needs help. I highly encourage you to look at some CFPs that come out. You have content inside of you that you want to share, and some of the best learning experiences is getting those rejection letters, especially when DEF CON rejects you, you get a dissertation back and you learn from it. It's awesome. It's the best criticism you'll ever get. So I encourage you to give, and if you're scared, just know that every speaker is also scared every time. You know, the first time, the 20th time. It's scary to get up here. It's scary to be that vulnerable to give to yourself, but everybody appreciates it. And there will be nothing as fulfilling all throughout your career as when someone sends you a thank you note. I got the interview because of you. I got the raise because of you. I got the job because of you. There's nothing quite like it. It's awesome. So you get back naturally from what you're doing. So you're doing the right thing for the right reason. At no point, obviously, in the giving was I thinking, this is going to get me a promotion, this is going to get me a job. This is a look back. This is a look back on a long period of time. Your network is measured on the quality, not the quantity. Don't worry about your follower count. Just make some relationships, do some giving, and don't be afraid to ask for help when you need it. Share and help and lift up others. I don't know, do I have nope, okay, no time for questions, but you can hit me up on LinkedIn or Twitter.
There you go, Kirsten.